Hey there movie lovers, welcome back to Rocky Watches Movies. Today we're breaking free with some incredible trivia from the 1973 classic Papillon. This gripping tale of survival and friendship stars Steve McQueen and Dustin Hoffman in two of their most unforgettable roles. But how much do you really know about what went on behind the scenes? So grab your shackles, plan your escape, and join us for 20 things you never knew about Papillon. The screenplay, written by Dalton Trumbo and Lorenzo Semple Jr., was adapted from the 1969 autobiography of French convict Henri Charrière. In his semi-biographical novel Papillon, Charrière recounted that he had been convicted on the 26th of October 1931 for the murder of a pimp named Roland Le Petit, a charge he vehemently denied. He was sentenced to life imprisonment and 10 years of hard labour. The film departed considerably from Charrière's best-selling book. The most significant change, widely reported at the time, concerned the character of Louis Degas. In the book, Degas was a minor figure who did not accompany Charrière on any of his escape attempts, but his role was expanded in the film specifically to attract Dustin Hoffman. The film also condensed and simplified the events of Charrière's first escape to Colombia, omitting several characters in the process. In his book, Charrière mentioned that during his final escape from Devil's Island, he was joined by a fellow convict named Sylvain, who was tragically killed while attempting to reach the shore. In November 1969, French publisher Robert Laffont began negotiating the sale of the book's film rights, hoping to co-produce a bilingual English-French adaptation. Bidders included Avco Embassy Pictures, Walter Reed's Continental Distributing, MGM, and several French producers. By early 1970, Reed had acquired the rights for $550,000, with Roman Polanski attached to direct, Warren Beatty to star, and Laffont as co-producer. When Reed's financing collapsed, Robert Dorfman, representing Les Films Corona, purchased the rights for $600,000, retaining Laffont as co-producer. By mid-June 1970, the production of Papillon was still in its early and highly fluid stages, with Terence Young, famed for his work on several James Bond films, being considered for the director's chair. At the same time, discussions around casting were equally tentative, with Charles Bronson, fresh off his rising fame in gritty action roles, floated as a potential lead. William Goldman completed the first draft of the screenplay and began reviewing it with eventual director Franklin J. Schaffner. Goldman's script was a strong, faithful adaptation, but he left for another project, after which Lorenzo Semple revised it to fit production needs. When Semple also moved on, Dalton Trumbo joined following Dustin Hoffman's casting. A Los Angeles Times report from 1972 claimed Steve McQueen objected to references to homosexuality in Goldman's draft, leading producer Robert Dorfman to hire Semple for a rewrite, though Semple denied this, saying Goldman had simply departed. Goldman later remarked that only one line from his version remained in the final film. The production design team spent over a year researching and constructing the prison sets, which stretched more than 800 feet and were located in the Jamaican town of Falmouth. The prison of Saint Laurent de Maroni, where Henri Charrière had been held and where much of the film's action occurs, was meticulously recreated using the original blueprints. Charrière visited the Jamaican set, toured the prison constructions, and remarked on their authenticity. The film's closing voiceover, which recounts how Charrière ultimately succeeded in his daring escape and spent the remainder of his life as a free man, was reportedly provided by none other than director Franklin J. Schaffner himself. This was the only feature film appearance of television actress Ratna Hassan, who portrayed Zarema. During production, she reportedly felt uncomfortable with the catcalls directed at her by members of the crew. Hassan earned praise for both her performance and her boldness for appearing topless. However, when Papillon was screened in Indonesia, her scenes were heavily censored, leaving them almost entirely cut. Following the film's release, Ahsan signed a contract with Playboy and in February 1974 made history as the first woman of Indonesian descent to appear in the magazine. Steve McQueen's renowned cliff-jumping scene near the film's climax was filmed on the cliffs of Maui, Hawaii. He, of course, insisted on performing the stunt himself and later described it as one of the most exhilarating experiences of his life. While filming in Jamaica, Dustin Hoffman met Sir Paul McCartney, who was on holiday in Montego Bay. One evening, Hoffman invited McCartney to dinner and challenged him to write a song on any subject. With the recent death of painter Pablo Picasso in mind, Hoffman asked McCartney to base a song on Picasso's reported dying words. "Drink to me, drink to my health. You know I can't drink anymore." McCartney composed a demo on the spot, and the resulting track, Picasso's last words, "Drink to Me," was included on Wings' 1973 album, Band on the Run. McCartney's version of events of how he and Hoffman ended up having dinner have changed a bit over time in different interviews though. The sequence that depicts the prisoners pursuing the elusive blue Morphus butterflies involved no fewer than 2,500 of them that were imported all the way from South America. The 600 extras portraying French prisoners were drawn from a community of German farmers who had settled in Jamaica years earlier. More than 1,000 extras were employed in the scenes depicting the prisoners marching to the prison ship, which was in reality a Caribbean cargo vessel. The film's budget, reportedly the largest of any production that year, attracted considerable attention during its making, particularly as it far exceeded the net worth of Allied artists at the time. Sources noted that the company's future depended on the film's success, and its controversial $7 million investment in Papillon was Allied artists' most expensive co-production to date, with the film planning to spend around $2 million on advertising. Thanks to the film's substantial financial success, Allied artists recouped its investment, and Papillon became the highest-grossing film in the company's history, earning approximately $38 million in North American box office receipts by June 1974. Out of that big budget came the huge salaries for its two main stars and director. Steve McQueen was paid $2 million for his role, while Dustin Hoffman received $1.25 million and Franklin J. Schaffner $750,000. Modern biographies of McQueen note that he was the first actor to be paid $2 million up front for a single film. The film was initially rated R by the MPAA due to its violent content, but Allied artists successfully appealed for a PG rating. An Illinois father later filed a lawsuit after taking his young son to see the movie, but a judge dismissed the case, ruling that the parental guidance rating served as a warning to parents. The film became the subject of several other lawsuits, including actions brought by Steve McQueen and Dustin Hoffman, both of whom claimed they had not received their proper share of the profits. Hoffman had apparently been contractually entitled to 5% of the film's net profits above $14 million. The outcome of the actors' lawsuits remains unknown. Although many regarded this as Steve McQueen's finest performance to date, he was overlooked by the Academy. Some attributed this to McQueen having stolen Ally McGraw, who later became his second wife, from her husband Robert Evans, a powerful studio executive at the time. Rumours also suggested that McQueen had affairs with several other Hollywood wives. Others claimed his Oscar snub resulted from an incident in which he reportedly told the Golden Globes committee, in rather blunt terms, that he would accept an award if he won, but would never attend the ceremony. He did, however, receive a Golden Globe nomination for Best Actor. Also, there were widespread criticisms that McQueen was far too old to portray Henri Charrière, who was intended to be just 25 during the film's opening hour. When Papillon first arrives on Devil's Island, he sits on a crude stone bench overlooking the sea. Another prisoner approaches and admonishes him, claiming the bench belongs to Captain Dreyfus. This references the Dreyfus Affair, a major French scandal that unfolded between 1894 and 1906. Captain Alfred Dreyfus, an officer in the French army, was accused of treason for allegedly passing secrets to Germany, convicted and sentenced to life imprisonment on Devil's Island. Public attention was drawn to the case, and a subsequent investigation revealed that Dreyfus had been wrongfully convicted due to anti-Semitism, and that another man, motivated by prejudice, had forged the documents used against him. Dreyfus was ultimately released, reinstated to the army at his former rank, and went on to serve honourably in World War I. This was the fourth of 7 scores that Jerry Goldsmith composed for director Franklin J. Schaffner. Goldsmith had previously created the music for The Stripper, Planet of the Apes, and Patton, and later scored The Boys from Brazil, all of which received Oscar nominations. His score for this film also earned an Academy Award nomination for Best Music, Original Dramatic Score, marking the movie's only Oscar nod. After serving a year of probationary freedom, Charrier was granted full liberty in 1945. He remained in Venezuela, where he became a naturalized citizen and married a Venezuelan woman named Rita Ben-Simon. He went on to open restaurants and gained a measure of local celebrity, frequently appearing on television programs. Charrier eventually returned to France, visiting Paris to coincide with the publication of his memoir in 1969. The book sold over 1.5 million copies in France, prompting a French minister to attribute the moral decline of France to miniskirts and Papillon. In 1970, the French justice system issued a pardon for Charrier's 1931 murder conviction. He died of throat cancer in Madrid, Spain on the 29th of July in 1973, 5 months before the release of the film. In 2000, it was announced that the film would be remade as a 4-hour television miniseries, though the project never came to fruition. A separate adaptation inspired by Charrier's autobiographies and the 1973 film was released in 2017. Directed by Danish filmmaker Michael Noah, it starred Charlie Hunnam as Henri Charrier and Remy Malik as Louis Daguerre. And there you have it, folks. You now know a little bit more about Papillon. If you enjoyed the video, which I presume you did as you got this far, hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss any future videos coming to Rocky Watches Movies. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.